Hey, it's Barb and Nick, and I have something to tell you. So last weekend, I went to this bull riding, and I entered in 2 of them, and I won the first one. But the second one, I was not so lucky, and I ended up with this really bad black eye. And then after that, I went to a bar, and I got into this big brawl, and it made it even worse. I looked kind of like the woman in Yellowstone that Beth beat up. Anyway, Nick, where were you when I needed you to protect me? Anyway, that's not obviously what really happened. I tumbled down some stairs at the Texas A&M football game, and I thought that instead of doing a podcast or something like that, I would embrace my inner and outer black eye. So here you go, got a little lacerations going on different places, but I'm very lucky and very blessed. So I thought you would get a kick out of that. Who has time for vanity, right? So what I want to talk to you about today is, as you may have seen through some of the emails, I'm doing this 2-part short course with Sandy Collier. And we're doing it about communicating with your horse via your hands. And instead of just talking about bits or just talking about your hands, we decided that we would put the 2 together because they go together. And we want to demystify for you and give you some really clear tips and fundamentals and exercises that you can do to choose the right bit, and also communicate just really well and effectively and clearly, and develop trust with your horse. So I'm gonna tell a little story, and I'm gonna back up kind of from the beginning. So with our horses, as you know, ultimately we want to build a relationship with them. We want them to trust us. We want them to enjoy being with us. You know, we are the leader in terms of like in a dance partner. I'm supposed to be following my husband who's leading the dance. And we do the same with our horses. And whether it's any kind of cue or our hands or whatever we do, in order for us to have the most meaningful, fun, whatever level of riding performance that we choose to do, we're all different in that, we want to develop that relationship of trust and clarity. So I want to start there. So I'm just going to take you on like just a little trip. So let's say we're in the house and we're thinking about our ride that day, and we're thinking about what it is that we'd like to do, what kind of ride we want to take, if we want it to be a training session, if we want it to be a hanging out session, what it is that we want to do. And within that, usually, or maybe directly or indirectly, we think about the bit we choose. So I just want to make a comment that often, and this includes me, because I keep learning all the time, we don't understand exactly how bits work, how they're going to impact our horse, you know, how to adjust them correctly, how to maybe make the same bit less pressure or less impact or more. And so that's the first thing that we're going to do. And I have with me right here, you know, one of my favorite bits, this dog bone snaffle bit. Here's another bit that's in my tack room. It's our brand 44, and this is a bit that I used a lot when I showed cutting horses. And then I have the O-ring snaffle that I ride Nick just relaxing. So choosing a bit that a horse feels comfortable in and that they understand, or if you're introducing them to it, that it's an appropriate step and you do the appropriate things so that they might be a little bit out of their comfort zone, but they just understand the pressure because of how you communicate. So that piece about bits is really important. And Sandy is amazing at that. She's amazing at everything, but she's really amazing at explaining that. So that's one part of it, so that you have more knowledge and can look at a bit and be able to determine perhaps what level of training or for what task at hand and how it worked and how to adjust it. So we're going to talk about that. So now the second part is you and how you use the bit on the horse. And so now we're going to go out to the arena, and I'm going to talk about that just a little bit to give you an overview of how Sandy and I think about that. I want to talk for a moment about the mentor-student relationship. I want you to think about somebody who's one of your mentors that you just really trust. I mean, it is somebody that when they show up to give you a lesson, or if you talk to them on the phone, or even a friend, that you know that they're very present, and that you know that there's some kind of a plan, but it's a flexible plan, because you know that when the mentor comes, that what they care about is seeing you and meeting you where you are as a student. And that's the way I believe that as riders, that we should show up for our horses as very present. Now, many times the horses are our mentors, but just in this case scenario, let's just think of it in that we initiate what's going to happen that day. And so it really begins with so much more than how you hold the reins, where your elbows are, how you do this, how you do that, how much pressure, the release. It really begins with your ability to be grounded, have a positive intention, and be clear about what you want, and be very present, so that, to me, feel is that ability to initiate and see what the horse does, and then I respond and they respond. So that's the mindset that I believe soft hands and quiet hands, and that's another whole discussion that we'll talk about in this series, what those words mean. But the next thing is that when we talk about communicating with our hands, it's not just our hands, it's our whole body. Because of the mind-body emotion connection, if we have tension even in our jaw, and recently Jane Pike talked about your tongue, or your legs are gripping, or excessively, that's in your hands too. So another piece of that is to, as the rider, become very present in your body and understand that it's not just your hands. It's also this idea of, it's again presence, but it's from the student point of view. The next thing, I'm just touching on a couple things, is that the role of our hands in most cases is not to initiate communication, it's to be supportive. So that goes, excuse the pun, hand in glove with the idea of communicating with our whole body, that we want to do things like see where we're going and breathe and feel our seat, and then support with our hands. And I think that's really important, because when we're just up here in our head, and we get excited, or we're not present, and we're thinking about dinner or what just happened or what's going wrong. We tend to do all that kind of thing because we're just, our hands and arms become this false sense of what we're, of control. So those are just a couple of the points about the bits, a couple of points about using your hands, and we'll get to the nitty-gritty of hand position and feel and smoothness and those kinds of things. So I hope that you'll join us. It's going to be an awesome mini course. We just added this bonus Q&A section. We just got lots of goodies for you. We're going to have a blast. You're not going to go away with knowing everything about bits and using your hands and all that, but you're going to have a knowledge of some of the most important foundation elements and how to build from there. So I hope to see you. There's a link below this video that you can click to see more. It's called Soften Your Hands and Understand Bits. And it starts Monday, December 5th at 6:30 Central. And you don't have to be there. You know, there'll be replays and there'll be ways to look up information. Anyway, it's an awesome course. Sandy's awesome. We're going to have a great time. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about the bits using your hands.